another episode of Mike on Fire. I'm your host for tonight's episode, Kadeem McLean. If this is your first time tuning in, we appreciate you tuning in from everybody at the Light Up Productions family. And we'd also like to extend a thanks to anybody who's returning listener for tonight's episode. We hope to continue to put out a product that you can continue to come back to and enjoy and be entertained by. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our guest for tonight, the usual suspects, everybody on the Light Up Productions team. First, we have our resident Celtics fan, Tim Steinrod. Tim.
What's good, man? I'm ready to get started. This is gonna be a nice one. I got a few things to get off my chest, so let's get to it.
Cool. We also have our resident Nuggets fan here, Stephen Murillo.
Yo, what's good? Yo, we here. We happy, we healthy. At least I hope so. Let's do this.
And last but not least, we have our all things quality control guy and resident free agent fan, Jared Williams.
And again, why do I have to be a free agent? I am a Knicks fan. I just don't like the Knicks because they suck.
That don't even work. So I'm going to stop you right there. And, of course, I am the resident Knicks fan here. So before we even get on that tangent, I'm going to introduce you to our topic for tonight. And with that, we have a top 10 culturally important NBA figures of all time. When I say figures, not just players, that means coaches, GMs, executives, maybe managers, anything like that. But we're going to put our usual Mike on Fire spin on it because we don't like to do things normal around here. We're going to do a choose your fighter style player pool where we're going to go around in a circle, and if someone lists a name that we all have on our list, we'll automatically put them over to our list for 1 through 10, where we will be doing a second part of this episode where we'll actually compile 1 through 10 and place them in proper order. If we do not agree with that person or who they might have on the list, we are going to then use our discussion to come up with a group decision on whether or not that player advances to the next round. So, without further ado, we will be back in a few minutes. Thank you for coming back. Before we even get into our topic for the night, we would like you to like and subscribe to our page on YouTube at Light Up Productions, as well as follow us on Instagram at LightUp_Productions. And you can find us on Twitter at LightUpProd. That's LightUp PROD. So, fellas, when we think of cultural figures in NBA history, what does that mean? Culturally important figures. What does that mean to you?
Who would like to go first? I usually go first. I'd allow somebody else to, take the. You know what, Dean? Go first. Go first. You actually let us go first a lot. Go first, bro. Start it off. You have the floor.
I'll go first, and you know what? I'm just gonna keep it real simple because the man is the Mount Rushmore of Mount Rushmores. So we're just gonna start off by throwing out Michael Jordan because he is the NBA as I know it. So, does anybody like to disagree and not have Michael Jordan on their top 10 culturally important NBA figures of all time?
Well, I agree. But before we get started, you asked the question. You said, "What do we consider a culturally important figure?"
Okay.
What that means.
So I'll give you a little breakdown.
Yeah.
To me, it's everything encompassed from play, your impact in media, your impact globally, just your stance as a figure in the league. Like when you talk about the NBA, you're definitely a name that's going to come up. When you hear stories, you're somehow going to be in that story somehow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the NBA ceases to exist without you in some way. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what a culturally important figure in NBA history for me stands for.
Yeah. Okay. So if you, with those parameters in place, you started off with Michael Jordan off top.
Naturally.
Naturally, everybody here. If anybody doesn't have Jordan on his list, they're obviously insane.
Yeah,
literally.
You're in the wrong sphere, man.
So obviously, so yeah, no. Jordan's definitely. I mean, he crosses all marks, bro. Like when it comes to expanding the brand, culturally, even till this day, Jordan sneakers are the standard. I mean, even now, he hasn't played in I don't know how many years, but yet this man is still vastly outgrossing LeBron's shoes and everybody else's shoes till this day. And it's like he's so storied, even his shoe lines, like his shoe releases have storylines to them, And so it's like with all that in place, I mean, from even from just overall play and being not saying there weren't athletic guys around his time, but just he was so superior athletically to everybody else, to his counterparts, that it just like excelled him to. And here's where it'll introduce us to another player in this list down the line. But Magic Johnson cracked open that door for a real figure to be a superstar in the league, and Jordan just took her by the bullhorns and just became that guy, with no question. With no, there was nobody on this man's level, and he made it clear. So, culturally, yeah, he deserved to be on this list for sure.
So, do you have anything else to add to that, Marilla, or can we move on to your selection?
I mean, it's a no-brainer to have Michael Jordan. I mean, you can just say right now he's number one. And I think to think otherwise, I mean, it's pure lunacy. I think we've all witnessed the impact the Last Dance documentary, which aired on ESPN. I mean, what more needs to be said? I mean, we will be saying more, but right now, yeah, I wholeheartedly. My pick, of course, I gotta start off a little left field. This is probably someone I don't know if anyone was considering, but if we want to talk about the beginning and creation, the basketball itself would be his Eve, and the man himself would be Adam. And I am nominating Dr. James Naismith, the actual creator of basketball himself. Yeah, that's where we're starting tonight. I'm doing Dr. James Naismith. Funny enough, I don't think he gets enough credit, even though the Hall of Fame is named after him. I know everyone wants to get there, but where the hell would we be without him? We would be entirely different human beings without this man. And with that being said, he gets my nomination. I'll go more into why afterwards, hopefully.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So for me then, I guess, let's see. Because if we're all just throwing names out here now, this is no order, but we just got to think outside the box with things, right?
Did you have him on your list, Tim?
James Naismith?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Because I didn't have him on my list either. So did we? And I actually am very compelled by exactly what he's just saying, because if we're looking at everything encompassed here, the man is the reason we have the game. So I mean, damn. Yeah, I think we might have to. I think we might have to continue the conversation on that, or are we just gonna move him over there? Like, what do you think?
We could definitely move him over there as a sign of respect, and I feel like we're gonna have to cross that again with another person on the name, but down the line. But yeah, let's move him over there out of respect. I mean, because honestly, if you really think about it, without him, there would be no basketball.
But not even just the fact that he created the game, you also have the ultimate respect of having the Hall of Fame named after him. It's just like
exactly goes hand in hand.
It's just you literally can't talk about basketball without that man. So so Tim, go ahead. You're on the floor.
So there's a lot of obvious picks here, but I'm going to also go a left field pick. It's not left field. I mean, none of these are left field per se, but it's just not the obvious maybe top 5 or 6 that we would all choose, which I'm sure we will cross those bridges down the line. Mm-hmm. But I'm actually going to throw Yao Ming's name into the mix. And the reason
we starting off early. Y'all going to left field names early. Okay.
We starting off early with some different names here. So I'm going to throw Yao Ming in the mix. And the reason why, man, obviously Michael Jordan made this more of a global game and everything, but there's a specific when it comes to China, period. Like there just has to be a specific thing that grabs them. Like when it comes to the movies, that's why like not all movies are allowed in China. You know, there's there's guidelines in China. Like China isn't as open to certain things as say other countries, and that's no knock against China. That's just the way China is. So, you know, at the time, it took years to even get interest in the sport of basketball because, you know, namely, too, it was starting to become an African-American heavy sport. Mm-hmm. So, but when Yao Ming came over to the league now, right, even Michael Jordan being there, that was cool. Yeah, he definitely made it global cool. But when Yao Ming came over there, now there's a different element. There's somebody like us who is on that all-star level who can now expose this to other people like Tracy McGrady or other people like Kobe or other people like Shaq or Tim Duncan. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you got a guy who's legitimately good, like a legitimate. If y'all remember that T-Mac and Yao Ming team, when I think was Ron Artest on that team at the time or no? He wasn't. No, he wasn't. But anyway, I gotta look at that team. But they had playoff hopes. Like they could have did something if, you know, everything worked out.
It was a great pairing. They underachieved, but that was it's a great all-time duo, to be honest.
And
they underachieved. But
yeah, he was only there for what, 8 years, 8 seasons, 9 seasons.
Injury riddled. But I actually, I'm glad you threw Yao Ming's name out there because I had Yao Ming on my list as well because for the same reasons you threw out there. I mean, we're talking about branching NBA to one of the largest countries outside of America. So it's like you said, it not only gave them interest, it gives them a great white hope in a sense. Like,
yeah, he
not only is over here playing, you know, he's not Yi Jian Lian, you feel me? He's actually over here nice. He's the all-star level starting. He's outvoting Shaq in the all-star game to start. Mm-hmm. We're talking about
brought
whether
in millions
you
of viewers
with that or not. I mean,
millions of viewers, bro.
Yeah, so it's. I remember one of his first games. The Lakers coming off the three-peat, and it's his rookie season. And they're playing the Rockets down in Houston. It's like game 2 of the season. Mm-hmm. And Yao Ming is busting Shaq's ass. I'm not even going to hold
you.
Yep.
I actually was going to bring up that game. Yep.
For at least in the first quarter, he was busting Shaq's ass.
Was that their first matchup?
Yeah, the first matchup. And he was huge. He was a big guy. And when I actually looked at it, looking at him now, he was way more mobile than I gave him credit for back then. Mm. And he had footwork and everything. So I actually had Yao Ming. What about you, Marilla? What were your takes on Yao?
I did not have Yao Ming on my list, but I had other people for other reasons similar to why you guys would have him on your list. I won't name them right now, but okay. I definitely respect his impact on the game. I mean, he kind of bridged that necessary gap to China. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's kind of, I think people recognize it as important, but I mean, the financial gain from that was unprecedented. I mean, the fact that we got access to the Chinese market probably exponentially grew the salary cap and things of that nature.
Oh yeah,
I think those things kind of
big point.
go unnoticed. So
honestly, Yao Ming being part of NBA history is the only reason why the Daryl Morey situation last offseason was a big situation.
Yep.
If we're even being honest. But so are we going to preliminarily move Yao over there, like an asterisk next to his name?
I believe so. In my opinion.
Okay, we could do that. I'll throw asterisk next to Yao's name. And we have spun the block back to me. I'm gonna throw an interesting curveball because I know we're gonna have other names that we agree upon on these lists. So I'm just gonna throw a curveball now, and I'm throwing out the first. When you think about him, you think coach. I'm throwing Phil Jackson out there. I am, and the reason why I'm throwing Phil Jackson out there is when we're talking about eras touched. He has piece of Michael Jordan. He has piece of three-peat Lakers. He has piece of end of Kobe's career as a coach. Not only that, but I don't know if he's the only one, but he's been to the NBA Finals at least 3 straight times, 4 different times as a coach. Insane. 2 three-peats as a coach. And also has two rings as a player in New York, the only rings we have. Hold on. Then there's more. Then transitioned into becoming a GM for the Knicks. That didn't go too well. But he now has all 3 phases of NBA and has a somewhat crazy success rate at all. Besides the Knicks job, of course. But what are you guys' opinion on that?
I'm definitely on board with that.
I'm glad you find that funny.
What's up?
I'm glad he finds that funny.
Old Murillo, Steve.
Yeah.
Nah, but I'm on board with that. I had Phil Jackson on my top 20 as far as most influential. I had him actually at number 17. And we're talking about because of who he coached. I mean, he's a player, obviously, but of who he coached, I don't know. That's why I had him in the when I came up with my list for top 20. He was a player, had successful as a player, but you can't deny the mind and the influence. We're talking about influence.
I can understand where you're coming from. Now, with that being said, it sounds like we've reached our first true pit of the night, because I'm sure Murillo's not going to have Phil Jackson on his. So, with that being said,
on the contrary, I do.
Oh, here we go. I like it. I like it. Go ahead. I would like to actually hear what you have to say about that.
Well, I think some of his influence goes even beyond his NBA achievements, which are enough to get him on this list. But I think some of his philosophies that he teaches with was fascinating. You know, they said he was like tripping on LSD, kind of like a hippie guy. I mean, what would the world be like if more leaders were kind of hippies, like these free thinkers, and like this, you know, they kind of let you do what you want to do, but as long as you come back and get the job done, you know, you can have free reign. And I don't know, the philosophy, the mind of him is very intriguing. So
can I just add to that? No other coach with that mindset you just said could have handled Dennis Rodman. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Correct. Yeah.
Because of what you just said, bro. Who's letting Dennis Rodman go to Vegas mid-finals? Think about that. Who?
Nobody.
Who? But he understood that. He understood that, bro. First of all, Dennis is gonna be Dennis regardless. So to maximize him. It's like a child. Certain kids, you give a little bit more leash to than other kids. I mean, that's just how it is in certain situations. So, not to cut you off, but I just had to add Dennis Rodman in there, bro. Like, philosophies, all that.
Okay. Whose goal was it next? Were we on to Murillo or were we on?
Murillo was next.
Okay.
I think so. What do we have? You know what? The fact that we haven't said him yet is kind of funny, but I'm just gonna put out LeBron James because
that's obvious.
That is more than obvious, and the listeners are probably wondering, when are we gonna get to him? I apologize for the delay. I think we're all aware. I think we're all aware of his NBA achievements. He's an MVP, fourth-time MVP, right?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 3-time NBA champion. A bajillion times NBA All-Star and the MVP. I think once or twice in that. But that, along with that, I think just the things that he's done off the court is just inspirational. Just bringing a championship to Cleveland. I mean, who would have thunk?
Don't say nothing crazy, because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Don't say nothing crazy right now.
He's holding y'all down right now, too.
Yeah, so I think LeBron James alleviated some of the depression that a lot of people in Cleveland had, especially Browns fans. Okay, I'm sorry. That's the only stat you're going to get.
When we talk about the fluctuation in market when he left, that the year after he left to go to Miami, how dead Cleveland actually was, there was a legit monetary difference.
Okay, we get it. We get it.
No, but this has to be talked about. We're talking about culturally impactful people.
This is the part of the point.
You understand me? But when it comes to LeBron, for me, everybody, kind of knows that I'm kind of the resident LeBron hater of the group. But I saw an article today, and I read the headline, and I was like, all right, I just got to relax a little bit. Because it said, and I quote, is LeBron James winning 3 NBA championships a disappointment as a career? And I had to reread it because I'm like, we have all-time players who haven't won one, and we're going to talk about is 3 a disappointment? I said, nah, we've got to step off the gas a little bit. We've got to step off the gas. That's okay. Come on now. You're different. You're on a different type of level when that's your standard. You're on a different type of level.
And here's where I come in with LeBron, right? Because I think it's a universal pick that Jordan is the GOAT. But it's like what makes LeBron, in my opinion, a GOAT in itself. My opinion, I think there's 2 GOATs. And that's because for LeBron, it's like with everybody else, Jordan was just a freak in nature. He just came out of nowhere and just took over. But now LeBron was expected of this, that, like crown. I mean, what age was he on that magazine talking about the chosen one? The fact that you're able to not only achieve and surpass all those expectations that were put upon you, but you're now legitimately the only person to be out of Jordan's shadow enough to literally have your own identity as a ball player. Like to the point where it's not even under Jordan, it's who's better, who surpasses who. They're in most people's eyes, and to be honest, to a whole generation coming after us, LeBron is going to be on Jordan's tier, if not better. And honestly, LeBron's career isn't even over. So who's to say if this man wins another chip in LA? Like what's to say then? 4? And then you can't knock, and it's tough because you got the one against Dallas that he lost, but then the ones that he lost against Golden State, it's like, really? But that's another conversation. But you gotta just, I don't know. Okay. LeBron's definitely up there. But my bad, Murillos. You done with the LeBron?
Oh, for sure. I just wanted to hear what you guys had to say.
Yeah, and before we jump over to you, Tim, for your pick, I just want to say that right now we preliminarily have 5 potential names on our all-time 10 list right now. We have Jordan, Naismith, Yao Ming, Phil Jackson, and LeBron James. Yao Ming and Phil have asterisks next to them because those are the only ones that we haven't fully agreed upon yet. But go ahead, Tim.
All right, so my guy is going to be Kobe Bryant. And
okay, you can just move him over there right now.
Yeah, we might as well just move him over there. And when it came to my actual top 10 list, I actually had Kobe at number 3. And the reason why I have him so high is, believe it or not, I hate to say this, but his death catapulted him. Like, it's almost like the appreciation like came full circle with his death, because now it's like you literally get to see, like, we grew up with this man. We grew up seeing that he was a teenager, became a man in front of us. He brought 5 championships to LA. The storylines that came behind this man, and what makes Kobe special in this whole GOAT equation, Jordan, LeBron, everything equation, is that where LeBron was a completely different entity from from Jordan, where it's like it's hard to even compare the two. Like, I almost wanted to compare LeBron more to Magic, but when it came down to Jordan and LeBron, they're so different. Like, Jordan is the ultimate competitor, but when it comes to like the ultimate team person, I'm pretty sure 80% of people would much rather even play with LeBron. And not just like talking down to you, but the uplifting of your spirit, the general, the way your ball moved, everything just flows better when LeBron is running things. But when it comes down to actually winning and taking over, no question of Jordan is going to be the person. But when it comes to actually having the balls to say, listen, I could be like Jordan, if not better, that's Kobe all the way. And I don't think any other person in the history of ball had the balls and actually had the work ethic and the ability to make it happen. My man literally is the greatest copy of all time. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way, because you want to be like the best. If it wasn't for Jordan, Kobe would probably be considered like I mean, you know. But and the thing is too, and I'm gonna end this. When it comes to influence now, like, he's set 2 storylines with the whole Shaq and Kobe era with Phil Jackson. Then he had the Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom era, you know, going against the Celtics, that whole thing. But what really does it for me is after he retired now, like, you saw, and I said this to my dad the other day, he was like finally happy. Like, he finally, like, he had a new purpose. He found a new purpose in raising the Mambas, and that Mamba mentality that everybody grasped and only looked at it as in a ball perspective for most of the part. We now really truly understood what it meant, because he took that same mentality, applied it to his business, applied it to his daughter's team, and he was thriving being a retired NBA player. When many people thought he was gonna just fizzle out, need therapy, nah, this man took it by the neck and embraced it. And actually, when we was worried about him having a relapse, this man actually had to be coaxed to watch ball again by his daughter. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but I say all that to say, with his death, it's a beautiful basketball life. The ultimate person when you want to look at, as far as just working hard, achieving. The man won an Oscar for just his dedication to the game of ball, and like, what more can you want from a player? You know, it's like just the ultimate standard, in my opinion. And with his death, now also being looked upon universally, I think, as the ultimate basketball tragedy, and what it now means to live life to the fullest and look at life, because now his life is not just a ball, like, it's a life, like, it's a figure to look at as a life lesson. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I have Kobe. I said a mouthful, but that's my thoughts.
Well deserved, because anytime we're going to get to appreciate that guy right now, we should take that time. And honestly, going to my pick, you know, breaking the way you broke down Kobe just now, it's basically an imprint that he left on the league. He just has a big thumbprint on the league, right? Or just NBA history and lives in general, if you are a basketball fan. But to go on to my next player, I'm going to also use that mindset of leaving a thumbprint on the league, but I'm not going to necessarily go to the game directly, even though this guy is an animal. I'm going to go to what he brought off the court and stylistically to the game. I'm going to go with Allen Iverson, the answer. Because if we're talking about 2000s NBA, if you're not thinking about three-peat Lakers, you're thinking about Allen Iverson, J. Kidd, Tim Duncan, Steve Nash, Dirk. Those KG. Those are the names right there. And shout out to them because that KG, Tim Duncan, Kobe, they're actually about to get enshrined for the 2021 Hall of Fame soon. Shout out to them for that. But yeah, AI, man, when I think about it, the imprint that he left on the league, nobody was really wearing, armbands, and he brought swag to the league. Like everybody's shorts was kind of baggy, but his shorts was baggy different. Like he had a style. Like he was pulling up to the game with the do-rag. And he had the 2000s style. The big jerseys, the long tees, the baggy jeans, the sneakers. That was AI. He left a thumbprint on the league. Now you can't go a game. There's no game you can watch and there's not at least one armband, headband, or some type of extra accessory. That wasn't a thing in the NBA like that before AI. And we're gonna talk about the commercials, all the Jadakiss infused commercials. Like, come on, man! Like, just honestly, when I think of he's probably top 5 when I talk about influence, because culture. If we're talking about cultural influence, he would have made not my top 5. But I know for a fact he's probably on you guys' list. So I'm gonna let you guys partake some knowledge in that.
Honestly, you could just put him out over there, in my opinion. Just throw him in that list already, because there's no debate.
Yeah, I don't even think there is a discussion there to even be had in terms of an argument.
The thing is about AI, a lot of people think he's overrated in terms of play, like where they rank him all time. Me, I'm an AI head, so I might be biased a little bit, but I feel like when we're talking about cultural, there's no doubt whatsoever when it comes to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are 7 names in with 2 asterisks. So that means 5 for sure. You guys want to run down next, Murillo? It's on you.
All right. My next pick is a Hall of Famer. He is 15-time All-Star, a 2-time scoring champion, a 14 All-NBA, 4-time NBA champion, a Rookie of the Year in 92, 93,
and Timothy, isn't it?
Finals MVP, and a 3 times MVP. If you guys are not familiar with that resume, he is the big Aristotle, Shaq, Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq, Diesel.
That's crazy.
Wow, as you were listing off the resume, it actually sounded Tim Duncan-esque. I thought it was Timmy, but when you're saying that, damn, Shaq. And I actually saw a post today comparing Shaq and Tim Duncan. I actually thought Tim Duncan had him pretty easily career-wise. But when you say that list like that.
And I skipped over quite a few accolades, but I'm choosing Shaq because with everything I just listed in his you can almost say he underachieved in the NBA, considering all the things that we know about him coming into the league, and he's probably the hottest prospect and all the hype surrounding him coming out of college. You can argue that he underachieved, even though with everything I just listed, we can say that he could have done a bit more. But one of my reasonings is with all his NBA stuff and his off-the-court things as well. The rapping career, the movie career, the investment career, just the philanthropist career, just his involvement in the community. He's paid for funerals of people who have faced tragedy, such as like police murders and brutality, and just the fact that he gives back. And who can argue against a guy who is always an uplifted, upbeat mood, always smiling and cracking jokes, as we see on TNT with his co-host. I mean, what a great spirit of a person to have representing the NBA.
Definitely.
And then we also, to throw out there on top of that, we have the crossover appeal. He was movies, music, like he's a DJ now. We have the whole Superman thing. We have him and Kobe being on like one of the all-time greatest peers, and then he leaves Kobe to go team up with D Wade, and it's a whole comic book Superman and Flash thing. Like it's just yeah. I don't know how I didn't have Shaq here.
Wow. Okay, I'm shocked there.
So I guess if I'm next, like I'm actually gonna start picking people who I really think like have a legitimate shot of cracking our top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually between two people, but I'm gonna go with the one that actually had more championships, and then I'll go with the second one, my second go around. But I'm actually gonna start off by saying Bill Russell, and the reason why I'm saying Bill Russell is because we're not even gonna look at his championships. We're gonna look at straight influence here, right? Let's look at his circumstance and where he was playing. You're looking at the greatest winner in American team sports that probably had to deal with, at his time, some of the most harshest racism and the harshest segregation circumstances out of any player from a town in Boston, right? Still had to overcome the bigotry and everything he was dealing with in his hometown, his team's town, and he was able to develop a dynasty when it comes to just offensive score, defensive score, leading the Celtics to a dynasty that is still standing to this day. He built a foundation for a franchise dynasty that is still holding strong. Now, if LeBron James crosses that this year and wins a championship, they're now tied with the Celtics, but that's neither here nor there. As of now, the Celtics are the top championship winning team in the NBA, and that's greatly due to Bill Russell and his 11 championship rings that he brought to the franchise. But going past his ball again, his activism work. You know, he was a spokesman for a lot of the black issues at the time. Still is a spokesman now. You know, he had a lot of meetings with President Eisenhower back in the day that I did research on. And then I would see how this man Bill Russell was a huge spokesman for getting more black coaches and players in the NBA to represent black people, you know, because mind you, this is the 70s and shit and stuff. So this is a time when there's not a lot of black people playing. His biggest competition for the most part was really Wilt Chamberlain, you know, but that goes to, you know, a lot of people say Wilt was more selfish, Bill was more of a team-oriented player. That's another conversation. The fact of the matter is this man built a complete dynasty, and his legacy still stands as far as influence, as far as black people playing in the league, period.
Yeah. Didn't he also player coach?
I don't know if he player coached.
Yes,
I don't know if he player coach, but
he player coach.
He did.
Yes, he did. So he has
I think that might be the only time in NBA history.
Yes, he's a player. He has rings for being a coach and playing at the same time. Fire.
And he has 2 back-to-back NCAA titles, and he has an Olympic gold medal. Mind you, this is all again at a time when black people were not really the subject of whatever. We were just kind of entertainment pieces, and he endured all those. He's a pioneer in the game, and that's kind of why I have him up there, because again, his 11 championships, I don't think will ever be crossed by anybody.
And the finals MVP is named after his name.
So that's my pick for one.
I gotta say one thing. 10, that was the greatest person that you could have picked out of any basketball player. Yo, total respect for that one. Touche on that.
Yeah, I respect Bill Russell. I think Bill Russell makes my top 10 too. Yeah. Even though I had him on my list. So we have one spot left. We're on to the final round of selections, and I'm on the board. So I'm not even going to mess around anymore because there are actually 3 names here that I have. And I know I'm not going to get to it, but Larry Bird has to be here. Larry Bird has to be here simply because we're not even just bringing race into it, honestly, but if we're going to look at it legitimately here, Larry Bird is the baddest white man I've ever seen play basketball.
Definitely.
If we're just gonna be honest here, that man, and everybody loves to pinpoint his jump shot, but he's part of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, franchise in the NBA.
The greatest.
He's probably part of the greatest era that they have.
Yep.
Not necessarily winning, but just known in NBA history.
Talent-wise, for sure.
Because his rivalry with the Lakers, that right there held the NBA for a little while. Larry Bird, but he was dunking on you. He was giving you the white chocolate behind the back pass too. Like Larry Bird was everything. He was a staple. He was an all white hope in the time when the game was going very black. You know what I'm saying?
Can I read off his accolades real quick?
Oh, go ahead. I have no problem with that.
Hall of Famer. 12-time All-Star, which means he was an All-Star every year he played. 3-time NBA champ. 10-time All-NBA. 3-time All-Defense.
That's an underrated stat. I did not know.
Yep. Made the rookie team. Was Rookie of the Year. 2 times Final MVP and 1-time MVP, or 1-time All-Star MVP, and if I didn't say it already, 3 times MVP.
That resume is bananas, bro.
Yeah.
Bananas.
So I agree. Put him on the list. I agree.
Me too. Who's on mine?
Larry, friggin' legend.
All right, your turn, Murillo.
All right. Let me just get my list real quick. I am picking this gentleman because, once again, I'm thinking of the global impact of the game. And there are some obvious names when we talk about global NBA players. And for me, one of the first guys I think about is probably the best foreign NBA player of all time. And that gentleman's name is Hakeem Olajuwon. I think what he did for the game in terms of inspiration was a lot. I mean, he's from Nigeria. The whole continent of Africa, I am assuming, saw him.
It's a hotbed now.
Yes, I mean, just look at his.
Colleges got scouts living in.
Yeah,
parts of West Africa right now.
You know, NBA Africa is now a thing. You know, due to a lot of Serge Ibaka's help and a lot of his forefathers of basketball. I mean, this man is a 2-time NBA champion. If I'm correct, he won the 2 years that Michael Jordan decided baseball was much more interesting. He's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was 9 times All-NBA defensive. So yeah, Hakeem Olajuwon gets my vote. I'm probably selling him short right now. I'm sure he has tons of more fascinating things than just simply being the best. Just his work in Africa, you know, the motherland, is worthy of praise.
Yeah, and on Hakeem, before we move on to Tim real quick, honestly, if we're just talking about play, if you pull up his stats, I promise you, he has years where he legitimately has chance to say or cause to say, all right, these are some of the best years in NBA history, like single seasons. We're talking about averaging 4 blocks a game.
Yep.
13 rebounds and 30 points. Like that's criminal activity we're talking about. The only other person who comes close to that is Shaq in that 3-year window.
Just about.
So for me now, like I went heavy with the influence and the political aspect of this whole influential figure conversation, but I'm gonna go with influential style. And the person who I really feel like catapulted the NBA as far as the way the basketball is supposed to be played, the elegance, the originality, the huge hand, the hang time, I gotta go Dr. J. And the reason why I'm going Dr. J is because a lot of our generation and even some of the older generations don't know is the man carried 2 leagues. People forget he was in the ABA league balling, and if you combine the stats from both leagues, the man has over 30,000 points. The man has over 10,000 rebounds. The man has over 5,000 assists, and the man has over 2,000 steals, and he has nearly 2,000 blocks. Now that's insane. That's unheard of, and you got to give credit to where that man is due. As far as just the like, and the reason why I'm saying this, right, is because I have a lot of friends that are older, like friends of my father's and my grandfather's that loved Dr. J. Like, and people who I don't think our age really understand that
we don't
this
appreciate
man
him.
Was their Allen Iverson, their T-Mac. Everybody that's maybe in the 30s, 40s, I mean not 30, maybe the 40s, 50s, older, or people who were just getting introduced to the NBA who were probably older but is still new to the league because it was getting introduced in the 70s. Everybody loved Dr. J. Like, he was the coolest player, and that's because of his swag, of course, but the skill was there. I mean, and then the moments he had on the street level too. It's not just what he did on the NBA, but a lot of the moments he had at Rucker Park and some of the NBA street. The main character Stretch was based off of the likeness of Dr. J. Like, when it comes to culture, that afro is so iconic to the old school figurehead of ball, what you picture as an old school baller with the Converse. You think of Dr. J. So that's what I'm just saying. I'm throwing his name out there because I just think that when it comes to, again, the ABA tenure that he had, when it comes to the game of basketball, the college career, the career before the NBA, but then the NBA career with the moments, the hang time moments, the battles he had with Jordan and some of these players, even though he was a little older at the time. Moses, like, listen.
As well as, if people don't know about Dr. J, if we were to be talking about top 5 NBA teams of all time, the Philadelphia 76ers team that he played on that won the chip, is it him? Did he win a chip in the league, in the NBA?
Yep, I think he did.
Yep.
I'll
that
confirm.
Team that won the championship, I think they whoever they played, they ran them out of the building. It was like 4-1 they beat them. They're a top 5 team all time.
Oh, yeah, no. They did. They did win a ring. He won one ring.
They're a top 5 team all time.
Certified.
Yep.
That's my move on.
So that wraps it up, and we're now going to proceed to the actual order of our list. But before we start that,
I thought
we're going to 3?
I thought we were doing 3 more each.
Okay, do we have time for 3?
Real quick, we won't do like a
All right. So here we go. We're back on here. I thought we were done, but we're not. We're back in business. I'm just gonna go right ahead because I thought I was gonna have to sneak him in here, but I don't. We have Magic Johnson. I don't know how we've come this far and not had Magic Johnson on the list, but Magic Johnson, I don't even really think we have to dive that deep into why he deserves a chance to sneak onto this list or be solidly on this list. But he's part of the holy trinity all time when we talk NBA. We're talking about Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. That is the holy trinity of the NBA, if you're asking me. Murillo, you're on the clock.
Wow. We almost wrapped this up without mentioning this person, and I'm genuinely surprised, and I'm sure the listeners are screaming at the top of their lungs at the fact that we have not said this person. This person, you can say he has single-handedly changed modern basketball. This person has so many haters, and I am one of them, but it's time to give him his flowers because he deserves them. And that man's name is Stephen Curry.
Ooh.
How we've made it this far without mentioning him is beyond me.
He was on my list. I was gonna get to him eventually.
All right, fair enough. I mean, the man is he's an MVP twice.
He's the first unanimous one in history.
Even though it should have been LeBron, but that's a different story for a different day.
It should have been Shaq first before LeBron, actually. Then LeBron.
Okay, I'll accept that as well. He's a 3-time NBA champion. I mean, the man's done it all. He's got a Hall of Fame-esque career. He's beat LeBron X amount of times in the finals, who is my personal GOAT. Things like that have to be considered. And the fact that he is able to revolutionize the game in the way he has with the three-point shooting. Now every team is mimicking the Golden State formula, and here we are with no more centers and point forwards and wing players, and yeah, that's where we are today.
Cool. So real quick, so I'm gonna just throw out, because it's so two, I'm on 2, right? So one more round of this, and then we'll go to the top 10. So just throw my guy out there real quick. I'm gonna have to put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out there because number one, the man is the leading all-time point scorer. The man has revolutionized the game in so many aspects. He had a move that cannot be stopped, wasn't stopped, that sky hook. And I mean, what else needs to be said? The man is a multi-time champion on 2 franchises. The man is an activist. The man has been a vocal leader in different movements throughout the years. Even till this day, he's still actively giving out he's a leader. He's always been a leader. He's an influencer, a man of character, and I got to throw Kareem out there.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so for my last guy, I'm going to throw this heavy on the cultural side. I'm going to throw Dennis Rodman out there because his impact, honestly, I knew Dennis Rodman as a character, but if anybody was the highlight of that last dance for me personally, it was Dennis Rodman, because I was underappreciating how great he was actually in his role. But then the fact that this man off the court, I mean, we're talking about he's in wrestling when wrestling is at its most popular point. We're talking about he's in the middle of an NBA finals, skipping practice to be on Monday Night Nitro. Like, there's no other person like Dennis Rodman in history. So we don't even have to stay on him long. When we're talking about cultural crossovers in music and just pop culture and all that stuff, wrestling, everything like that, Dennis Rodman. So Murillo, go ahead.
Is this our final pick or?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. So for my final pick, similarly to Hakeem, I am gonna pick another international player who has influenced an entire continent just like Hakeem, and that continent is being Europe. So with my final selection, I'm choosing Dirk Nowitzki.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just mentioned the unstoppable skyhook, but if you want to talk about another unstoppable move, it's Dirk's little fadeaway one leg that even Kevin Durant has now adopted. It's just an immortal move, man. I mean, I think in 1,000 years, kids will be mimicking that same move, looking back at Dirk Nowitzki. I think you can see a lot of his influences in the European basketball, a lot of tall foreign European big men shooters, a lot of versatility there. And I think he's earned his right, especially after winning the championship, taking one from LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
So my final pick, I'm actually going to do, though, I'm going to cheat for a second. My final pick was between 2 people, and I'm going to lean to one year. So I was originally going to give this to Jerry West. I was going to give this to Jerry West because you got to give this man 9 seasons of what he was able to do. But I'm actually going to give this to Oscar Robinson. And I'm giving it to Oscar Robinson because, first of all, let's start with the
big
actual
O over Jerry.
The big O over Jerry. And
wow.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. This man, let's not talk about the unprecedented feat that he did of averaging a triple-double, something that was almost a godlike stat to even touch until we came into modern NBA status, something that for years...
How long for somebody to break it or finally met it?
Somebody did it. But I remember a time where it was unfathomable to even proceed. Like, somebody could do that.
To get one in a single game, though, let alone an entire season.
Facts. And so what this man was able to do, winning a chip with along Kareem during those years with the Bucks, was unprecedented, averaging 30 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds. But anyways, the real impact now is his off the court stuff. And first of all, let's get into his civil rights work that he was able to do involving the NBPA. So he was able to really set the foundation for the free agency market and the NBA. So it gives, for instance, LeBron, I don't think wouldn't have been as powerful, with even making his decision if it wasn't for the likes of Oscar Robinson and the parameters he set in place for NBA players among the league. He was able to really go through a lot of economic and labor problems with the NBA. That was able to just set a tone for how we're able to get players, for instance, are able to get paid. And again, you got to also take into account the era he played in. Black people weren't really considered like that. They were just considered, they were really shut up and dribble, really. So, it's like he set so many records as far as NBA play, just NBA play and style and the way he was able to see the court, but also what he was able to do for the player value and the player right in the league. Now, Jerry West has his own accomplishments, so this could be a toss-up, but that's mine. I'm done.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we have come to the end of our list. We have 18 total names here, and we're going to try and do a 1 through 10 of all 18.
Oh, my God.
Interesting.
Okay. And to quickly just do a rundown to give a perspective of what we have Michael Jordan, we have James Naismith, we have Yao Ming, Phil Jackson, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, Shaquille O'Neal, Bill Russell, Larry Legend, Larry Bird, Hakeem Olajuwon, Dr. J, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dennis Rodman, Dirk, and Oscar Robinson. And I think that's a pretty solid. If we've missed anybody, it's probably Jerry West, but we gave him his respects. So I think we did a solid job of coming up with a decent list. But now comes the hard part. So we're going to have to put this up in a 1 through 10. So somebody's going to have to feel a little hurt tonight. But
oh, my God.
I can say this: if we had to move somebody, I wouldn't be opposed, because we didn't agree on this anyways, of moving Phil Jackson out and moving Jerry West in, because
my God,
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I really wouldn't. I'm not saying Phil Jackson doesn't have a part in this, but the man is the logo. The man, I don't think people really understand how nice Jerry West was. Like, he was considered the golden boy of the NBA for the 60s and 70s, bro. Like, the player. And let's not talk about the 9 appearances he brought the Lakers during those
8 losses.
And the 8 losses.
And the 8 losses. This man had the first of all, this man had the myth, the legend, Myth Chamberlain, okay? And still only was able to win 1.
That's crazy.
Yo, I have to say, I got to give just one shout out. Pistol Pete, yo. You can't.
Okay, that's a good name too. It's a good name too.
That is definitely a good name to be out there as far as.
So are we moving out Phil for Jerry West? I don't really want to.
I think this is how I think we should do it. let's figure out who's definitely on this. So who are the absolute names first? And I believe we can all agree that Michael Jordan, let's start there, is a shoe. Is a shoe-in.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I would just have him number one off the rip. I don't. Would anybody argue that?
I don't think it can be argued, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
It's no argument.
I think the only person who has an argument is Naismith himself.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah,
definitely interesting. But for number two,
would that be Naismith number two? Put that out there. If you think he can challenge Jordan, then it would make sense for him to be number two. No.
That's true. That is true.
When you put it that way, yeah, I might have to have him.
Yeah. And I think that's a choice so many people will actually look and so maybe. Like, it's one of those things, like, everybody's going to automatically assume LeBron, but then it's like, when you hear it, it's like, well, the man created the game. Like, there's no bigger influence. Honestly, we can really put him at one if we really want to be honest.
He honestly has a legitimate chance to be one.
He should actually be one. I really believe he should be. Let's make him one, bro. Yeah, let's make him one.
Yeah,
I honestly am very surprised that we went this route. Wow. I did not see us going this route at the beginning of this night, but I'm glad we made it.
Yeah. He wasn't even on my list to start the night.
Fact. This is awesome. And now he's one, bro. That's crazy.
This is fantastic.
Okay, so we're on to number three. I think that's a pretty resounding LeBron. I'm pretty sure.
For sure.
It would have to be, right?
It has to be LeBron. It has to be.
Especially of late with the whole Black lives. He's such a
the social media era.
Yeah,
what LeBron's by hand. Like and the fact that he's able to open up an entire school and take the social issues that we deal with in this generation and be the leader and the spokesman of those issues while leading and that just goes to his personality. It's almost like somebody was saying Jordan Clarkson was given the difference between playing with LeBron and playing with Kobe. It's like they both have their own styles of leadership. That doesn't necessarily make one of them less than the other. It's a personality thing. And by Kobe is that yell at you, kind of pick at you type of player. But LeBron is a pick you up type of player. And that goes to not just his basketball playing, but how he is as far as embracing other people, other artists, cultures, bringing everybody up. That has to be LeBron, man. He's the spokesman.
Yep.
I'm glad we agree.
Yeah,
I'm glad we agree with that one easily. That was good.
Yeah.
Easily.
So on the 4 of our list.
Oh my God, this is getting hard.
Go ahead. I think I have a pick for it.
Can I put one out there?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Murillo.
I am gonna say Kobe Bryant.
Literally, that's my pick.
That's actually who I had in mind as well.
That was my pick.
All right, let's make the case real quick for the listeners, right? Obviously, everything he accomplished, 5 championships, the tremendous career. I think it was 20 years exactly. Just historic, I call it Disney-like, just an unprecedented, unheralded, just such a unique career. The number switching is so iconic. The fro, his youth, him being a mentoree of Michael Jordan, just the rivalry, the mimicry, just the comparisons that he's had throughout his career, just the expectations he shattered, his philanthropy. There's not enough that can be said about Kobe. I mean, seriously, unfortunately, in death, we tend to just have a deeper appreciation of people. But man, you just look at it. This guy just did everything. He did everything.
The ultimate worker, bro. The ultimate worker.
Truly an inspiration. You don't even have to be a basketball fan to look at Kobe Bryant and be like, wow, like I would like to have this type of like mentality, this mental fortitude, this work ethic,
and that's what's so tragic about him, bro, is because we were just now starting to truly understand what that meant, like that mentality meant, because he was going to apply it to other parts of basketball where we could be like, okay, well, this man may be onto something. Like, this man really may be onto a philosophy of a way of thinking, which also now goes back into Phil Jackson, because you cannot have not been around Phil Jackson all these years and not picked up some ways of thinking. I honestly believe Phil Jackson heavily influenced Kobe Bryant's thinking in some ways, a lot of ways. I can't. But so Kobe number
5. Yeah, Kobe's definitely number 4. And number 5, I wanted to have Allen Iverson here, but the compelling arguments that I heard earlier have me wanted to throw Bill Russell at 5 because I don't feel like he should fall any lower than 5.
ESPN had him at 4 when it was Jordan, LeBron, I think Magic, and then Bill Russell. I'm actually in agreements with this. I think Bill Russell should be given his due and put at 5, personally.
I'll even make the argument over him over AI. Now, obviously, if AI comes up, we can discuss it. But I think Bill Russell's, the steps he took and the hurdles he had to jump over, they're a little bit more significant than a lot of AI's accomplishments, which a lot of them are kind of fashion based, and I don't want to belittle that at all. Let me just say that right now, but we're talking about civil rights issues now. Like, this is bigger than anything, and that's why I think Bill Russell makes perfect sense.
Okay. So, did you guys have anybody in mind at 6?
Well, when it comes to, I'm honestly leaning towards Magic Johnson. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm saying Magic is because when you think of the Lakers, you honestly think of Magic first. I mean, not saying, for a long time, maybe Kobe now, but for a long time it was Magic. Magic was the Lakers' face, even with Will, even with Jerry, even with, James Worthy, who named it? Kareem. It was Magic.
Elgin Baylor, yeah.
And Elgin Baylor Autumn. So the Showtime Lakers, that's who, it was a style of play. It wasn't just going to see the Lakers. It was the way it was, like, when you think of the fast break now, you kind of refer back to the Showtime Lakers. It was a way of passing the ball. Then the way this man revolutionized the way you pass. I mean, he made passing just as cool as scoring.
He said, hing.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he win a championship in his rookie year?
Yes, at the center position.
Yep. Did he win an MVP that year too, or am I mistaken?
And I want to say he had 42 points, Game 7.
Finals MVP.
Gracious, man.
It did things that was unprecedented, and also just the way he was an entertainment icon. Like, he was a mogul, in Hollywood. Having dinner with Madonna, like all these names in Hollywood. He was just a figure and represented LA, but also he turned out to be a businessman. And I think with all these picks that we give, hindsight is extremely important when it comes to a lot of these picks.
Also, I don't want to spend too much longer on Magic, and I don't want to necessarily highlight the negative, but him kind of being a huge voice for the whole AIDS epidemic kind of has to be shed a little
huge storyline. Huge storyline.
Huge.
That in itself was a moment in NBA history that shook everybody, because it was at a time that HIV was relatively unknown, and it brought awareness to the virus.
Facts. Yeah. While we're in a pandemic, our damn selves currently.
Okay, I can agree with Magic.
Yeah. So we're on the 7. Murillo, you want to throw a name out there? Or 10? What are you?
Do you mind repeating the list for us? Whoever we have left.
We have Yao Ming, Phil Jackson, Jerry West, Allen Iverson, Shaq, Larry Bird, Hakeem Olajuwon, Steph Curry, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dennis Rodman, Dirk, and Oscar Robertson.
I really feel like we got to get Curry in here at some point. I mean,
I'm not mad at it.
Literally, I don't know where. It may not be at our next pick, but he has to be in here. I don't know where.
I think he ends up being in the 10 because we're talking about there's a lot of great players in NBA history, but not many players literally have had the game had to change because of them.
Okay, then I nominate Curry for the next pick, and the argument I'll make is that this, what I was saying earlier, he genuinely changed the way children are being taught to play basketball.
Oh yeah,
that means the future generation and the forthcoming generation coming into the league, literally like the upcoming draft class, their games will be molded after this person of the high risk taker, the long, the deep three, like the handles, even even his body shape. Like he's kind of a slender, slim guy. He's not like this super muscular macho guy that we've all got accustomed to.
Come to think, a professional athlete usually looks like.
Yeah, especially in the basketball world, he's kind of like a small frame guy, and I think, dare I say, it's kind of inclusive. It makes people feel like they can play basketball too, no matter how you look. And I think, inspiration is like it's unmeasurable, and I think he deserves that next spot.
Okay, I agree as well. Tim, did you have a pick?
Well, here's the thing. I think we should all collectively just make our picks together because we all kind of went around. But so I don't, not necessarily be my pick. But if we all agree, would we all say that Kareem should be on this list?
Yes, I do. We have 3 spots left. I can say Kareem can be on that list.
All right. Can you make an argument for it?
Would you put Kareem next is the question. Because you still have AI.
What number are we at?
Rodman.
What number are we at?
We're at 8. The next entrant will be 8.
Wait, so Tim, do you agree with Curry being 7?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Curry was saying I had to get ready. I would give Curry 7 maybe. I can argue at a couple people in front of him, but here's what I'll say with Curry. I don't think I'd put him at 7, but the reason why I say I would allow that is because I don't think we've even seen the full effect of Curry until a couple. Like we don't know just how big he is. Like we know how big he is, but we'll know in like another 10 years. Like really his impact. First of all, who's to say if he wins another championship? Just saying. What happens if he wins another one in the Bay Area? He's already a Bay Area legend, And like you said, he's changed the way coaching is done now. He's changed the way bigs are even being accepted into the league. Like you can't be a big in the league unless you have some type of mobility and can shoot. And that is solely because of Steph Curry. So, you know what? The more I talk about it, I'm okay with him at 7. But where I kind of draw the line is it's not just about on the court influence as well. That's kind of where this becomes a separation of different people because I'm looking at court influence, but then overall influence as well. And yeah, he has coaching influence, but I don't know. I feel like Kareem could have definitely been in this spot.
I agree. I agree with you, but I feel like that's why Kareem is next. The only reason why I like to leave Steph here is we're talking about complete changing of the game. Mm-hmm. We're talking, as I mentioned to Murillo earlier, we've had a lot of all-time great NBA players, but not many of them have actually changed the game themselves. And I hold that to a very high standard.
But then an argument can be made for Kareem, who changed the game with his style of play. Because, I mean, would you say Kareem changed the game of his style of play too, with the way he revolutionized the bigs, or you think Curry's changing of the style was a little bit more prominent?
That's interesting. I don't know if we can dive super deep into that because I don't know if we have the time, but that's a very interesting point because the way the center plays the game, and then when you look at that, center is probably the most dominating position in NBA history.
Definitely.
We're listing all-time names. Wow.
And it's like, I don't think we can even fairly give that argument because we didn't fully watch Kareem play. I feel like
Curry's still Curry.
I feel like if we're going to have this argument about Kareem, I think it's fair to have somebody who can give a more accurate, depict or detailed, like, just of how it was when Kareem was playing, if they were, really watching. But
so we want to move Kareem there. I'll move Kareem up to 7 and have Steph at 8.
Flip-flop. Yeah, well, I can live with that.
All right, so let's quickly make these last 2 picks because we're running out of time here. I know Jared is against the brink, Mr. Quality Controller in the top right of the screen here. Who do we have rounding this situation out, man?
So for number 9,
we have Larry Bird on the board. You have AI on the board. You have Dennis Rodman, Dirk, Big O, Phil Jackson, Yao Ming, Shaq, Hakeem, Dr. J.
Oh my God!
You have a 2 out of those names.
This is difficult.
I don't know if I could do a culturally important and not have AI on it.
You know what? I think I agree with you.
I honestly can't see myself doing it.
Yeah, could you make the argument?
As
to why?
I don't think I could though.
You can't tell me.
Because when I think of the word culture and then I think of basketball, AI is honestly one of the first names that comes to my mind. Mm-hmm. Honestly. So I think I'm gonna have him at 9, man. Okay. And that comes down to number 10. And once we're done, once we figure out who's gonna slot in at 10, I'll read you down the list in order. But who are we gonna have round out this list, man? I have a couple of decent choices.
I actually have 2 people to throw at you. I'm not opposed to having AI on this list because when it comes to accessories, and he's let me just real quick on AI, real quick. I know we're pressed for time, but the reason why AI is that important is because he looked like a lot of black people in America, a lot of black kids in America, and for black kids, and let's be frank, the cornrows and some of these styles and accessories like that in itself was like, okay, there's somebody out there like me who's not like well spoken like Michael Jordan or anything. Like AI is like me. AI is like, you know what I mean? He's a young guy. He's smaller than everybody. He got heart. Like AI was somebody who if you couldn't be like Michael Jordan, you would like somebody like he's somebody you would try to inspire to be like, because it's almost like somebody, your big brother made it to the league type stuff, and for a lot of black people or kids rather, that's what they needed. That was like that form of like, like they needed somebody to identify with, and AI was that person for a lot of kids. I don't know if I said that properly, but that's kind of where I was coming from with that.
Okay, so we have AI at 9. Who do we have at 10? So we can wrap up this list.
I'm actually gonna throw Larry Bird out there.
Okay, can't disagree.
I got one for you.
Go ahead, Murillo.
I got a Larry Bird challenger because I agree with Larry Bird, but I'm actually gonna put Shaq in that list. We're talking about cultural impact, okay? And I just gotta say, not disagreeing with Larry Bird at all. He on this list particularly, he's an honorable mention. But I'm gonna say Shaq. Everything.
I think I want to actually put Shaq here.
You don't know?
I think I want to put Shaq,
dude,
over Larry.
You could put Shaq.
Yeah. Because when I think of crossover appeal,
culturally, no. Let's put Shaq there because we're looking at even now. And like I said, when it comes to influence, I weigh outside court influence just as much. And an argument can be said that for Shaq, he may be underachieved in a way on the court. But when you take into account his run on the NBA TNT crew, when you take into account his commercials, his movies, Shazam, the different appearances he had on Grown Ups with Adam Sandler, like different movies, like become a mogul where literally the name Shaq is a brand.
Something, it's its own brand, yeah.
Very few players in NBA history can become a brand, and Shaq has become a brand. Successful.
Yeah. So we can slate him at that. So to just finally list off our final list, at 1 we have James Naismith, 2 Michael Jordan, 3 LeBron James, 4 Kobe Bryant, 5 Bill Russell, 6 Magic Johnson, 7 Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 8 Stephen Curry, 9 Allen Iverson, and 10 Shaq. So I hope you guys agree with our list. If you don't, leave a comment, and we'll actually probably get back to you on that. We'd like to hear your reasons behind why you disagree or if you agree. But thanks again for joining us. This was another episode of Mike on Fire. Until next time, we want to thank you for listening.